So it is 5:15 on Thursday, April 27th. I will call the Wenatchee City Council meeting to order. First item would be the pledge to our flag. Councilmember Poyer, would you lead us?
Yes, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Poyer. For the record this evening, Council members Kulas and Esparza are excused tonight. First item would be our consent items, which would include this evening's agenda, vouchers, and the minutes from the previous meetings, and declaring some property surplus to the needs of the city.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve agenda, vouchers, and minutes from previous meetings. And also move to adopt resolution number 2017-28, declaring certain personal property surplus to the needs of the city of Wenatchee and authorizing the Department of Public Works to dispose of the personal property identified herein.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Huffaker, second by Councilmember Bailey, to adopt this evening's consent items, including the agenda, vouchers, and minutes from the previous meeting and resolution 2017-28. Any discussion from the council members? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda this evening would be citizen comment. This would be a time if any member of the audience wish to address the council on any particular item. I'd ask that you come up and we give you 3 minutes, ask your name and address for the record. If you're here on some other particular item in the agenda packet, we will take public testimony on the public hearing regarding the spring water sewer connection, and I don't anticipate we'll take public comment on any of the other items. But if you wish to, when we're in there, just kind of raise your hand or throw a pencil at me or something. Anybody wish to address the council on something that's not on our agenda this evening? Yes, ma'am?
If it's on the agenda, we wait till you get to that agenda.
Which item are you wishing to talk about?
Resolution, welcoming resolution.
We'll take some public testimony on that one.
Now?
We'll do it when we get to it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Seeing no takers then, we will then move on to our Poppy Days proclamation. So Izzy Brown, are you going to come up? Come on up. You want to stand by that microphone and you want to wave to that camera right over there. It's all your friends at home on TV. There you go. Okay. And you can, if you want to sit or stand, just get close enough to that microphone so we can hear you. Perfect.
You want me to start?
Go, it's all yours.
Good evening, Mayor Kuntz, members of the City Council, and members of our community. My name is Izzy Brown, and I am a junior member of the American Legion Auxiliary, Unit 10 Wenatchee. I am 10 years old and in the 5th grade at the River Academy here in Wenatchee. As a junior member of the American Legion Auxiliary and Poppy Girl for 2017, I thank you for the privilege of sharing with you a poem and one of our programs, Poppy Days. After World War I, the poppy flourished in Europe and quickly became a symbol of the sacrifices made by Americans and Allied service members around the world. Soldiers returning from World War I brought home the flowers in memory of the barren landscape transformed by the sudden growth of wild red poppies among the newly dug graves. Described in a memorial poem, In Flanders Fields by Canadian Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row. That marks our place, and in the sky the larks so bravely singing fly, scarce heard the guns amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. Loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw, the torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. The red poppy, as a memorial flower to the war dead, can be traced to a single individual, Miss Mowena Michael. She was so moved by Colonel McCrae's poem that she wrote a response. The blood of the heroes never dies, but lends a luster to the red of the flower that blooms above the dead in Flanders Fields. On impulse, she brought bouquets of red poppies all at New York City's Wanamaker's department store and handed them out to businessmen meeting at the New York City YMCA where she worked. She asked them to wear the poppy as a tribute to the fallen. That was November 1918. World War I was over. But America's sons would rest forever in Flanders Field, France. Later, she would spearhead a campaign that would result in the adoption of the poppy as the national symbol of sacrifice. The American Legion was the first national organization to adopt the poppy as its memorial flower. In September 1920, the American Legion Auxiliary adopted the poppy as its memorial flower in October 1921. The American Legion family will launch National Poppy Day this year on May 26th as a way to honor U.S. service members from the battlefields of France in World War I a century ago to today's global war on terrorism. Now I would like to share with you our units on Poppy Day programs. Poppy Days is where we distribute red poppies to our community in remembrance of those who have given their lives during war times. The poppies that our auxiliary purchases are made by veterans that are patients in a Washington State VA hospital. The poppy distribution program provides disabled veterans with an income and rehabilitation activity and reminds Americans of the sacrifices of their veterans over the years. All donations received by volunteers from the American Legion family during Poppy Days are used only to assist and support veterans and active military and their families. The programs that our auxiliary unit supported this year were Fisher House, which provides military families housing close to a loved one during hospital stays for an illness, disease, or injury. Transplant, Kidney, and Liver Lodge in Vancouver, Washington. Operation Stork provides free clothing set for newborns of all military families. Operation Comfort Warrior supplies wounded warriors comfort items and assistance. Christmas gift shops supplies veterans in Spokane VA hospital or nursing home gifts for their families free of charge. The gifts are wrapped and, if needed, mailed to their family members, also at no cost to the veteran. American Legion Post 10 Wenatchee Veteran Christmas Baskets. Vets Serving Vets of Wenatchee provides veterans and their families clothing, food bank, money for rent, utilities, travel expenses, and often, most importantly, they provide a place of safety where former soldiers can learn to help themselves. Wenatchee Poppy dates this year are Friday, May 19th and Saturday, May 20th. So if you see a smiling individual outside Albertsons, Safeway, or Pybus Market offering you a red poppy in remembrance of those who sacrificed their lives for our freedoms and liberties in America and other countries, please offer a donation and wear the poppy in remembrance of our veterans throughout the year. Thank you for your support.
Awesome.
Wow, that was pretty darn good.
But you got to come up here first. So now we've got a proclamation you were going to read, but it's not near as good as what you just read. Proclamation. Now you got to see all these people up there, right? They're going to trade you money for a copy. Watch this.
Here you go.
There you go. Thank you. There's more money over here.
Ian gave me 20. That's nice of her. This is only 90 cents.
Thank you, you did a
I think we better keep.
Yeah, we better do that officially though, hadn't we?
Yeah,
You did a great
we'll get a
job.
picture taken. And,
Very impressive.
so you got to stop and get your picture taken for you first, all right?
Don't forget to come over here.
So just pick a part. I know.
And we got money over here too.
Thank you. You read like a pro. Have you done that before?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, you did really good. Oh, we got more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We've got some more. Anybody in the uniform you get to get. Yeah.
Somebody who looks official.
Yeah,
Yeah, work the crowd.
yeah.
Get some money collection help from the.
So Vanessa.
Yes, okay.
So Izzy, we're going to let you work the crowd, but we're going to continue on with our agenda. Thank you so much for being here tonight. You were awesome. And good luck in raising money, and thank you for your work with the veterans. Thanks to Dad back there and the rest of the family that showed up. All right, so our first action item tonight is regarding a welcoming resolution, resolution number 2017-27. So Allison, I'll have you present, and then if some members of the committee want to address the council, we'll do that as well.
Okay. So Allison Williams, Executive Services Director. I'm also staff to the city's Diversity Advisory Committee. And as you will recall, at February 9th, council meeting, they came and read their statement in opposition to the president's executive order. And at that time, they noted they were working on a welcoming statement that could be utilized by the city of Wenatchee to provide comfort for the area's diverse populations. Since they read their statement on February 9th, they've spent time becoming educated on our police department's policies and bringing community feedback to the committee for purposes of informing and crafting the welcoming resolution. It's a proactive statement for the city council to adopt and publicize, and we have a number of members of the committee here this evening who would like to read the resolution into the record and ask for your approval, adoption of Resolution 2017-27.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. We're going to take turns reading resolution number 2017-27. I am Jameson O'Neill. A resolution declaring that the city of Wenatchee is committed to being a welcoming city and creating a community where all feel welcomed, safe, and able to fully participate in and contribute to our city's economic and social life. Whereas the city of Wenatchee was shaped by people of diverse origins, and our history is one of welcoming those seeking the opportunity for a better life. And whereas the city of Wenatchee has welcomed those of us seeking new homes, safety, freedom, and opportunity, and
whereas all are a vital part of our community, bringing fresh perspectives, new ideas, starting businesses, and contributing to the vibrant, diverse community that we all value. And whereas the city of Wenatchee has been engaged in Our Valley, What's Next since the beginning, a collaborative and values-based approach to improving this place we call home for years to come. And whereas this effort has led to the creation of the Our Valley, Our Future, that has allowed us to develop community-based action items formed around 6 themes: how we prosper, how we plan and grow, how we sustain our environment, how we live and care for one another, how we learn and create, and how we participate and decide. And
whereas the Wenatchee Police Department, as an integral point of contact in our community with diverse populations, desires to build and retain solid relationships between all members of our community, including those of our immigrant communities. And whereas the city of Wenatchee has affirmed our commitment to welcoming all individuals through past statements and actions, knowing that discrimination impedes the social and economic progress of a city by preventing all of our residents from fully contributing to the cultural, spiritual, social, and commercial life of our community. And whereas the contributions of all individuals in the city of Wenatchee are essential to the city's growth, vitality, and prosperity.
Now therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Wenatchee that the City of Wenatchee is committed to being a welcoming city and creating a community where all feel welcomed, safe, and able to fully participate in and contribute to our city's economic and social life. We urge all people of Wenatchee to do their part in and contribute to our city's economic and social life. The city will provide leadership and resources through the efforts of the Diversity Advisory Council in raising community awareness, reaching out to build partnerships, and providing a forum for discussion of community concerns and needs. We urge all people of Wenatchee to do their part in reaching out and welcoming all those who live in and visit our great city.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks.
And very well done and very well written. So I appreciate you guys coming here today and reading that into the record.
Thanks
Any
again.
questions from the council about that before we take some additional public comment? Great. Again, thanks for your work on the
you.
Diversity Council and thanks for your
Thank
good
you.
work on that. So anybody like to address the council regarding the welcoming declaration, Resolution 2017-27?
Good evening.
Name for the record?
My name is Alma Chacon, and tonight I'm here on behalf of CAFE, the Community for the Advancement of Family Education, which is a nonprofit organization providing 7 scholarships each year to high school students in several districts in North Central Washington. And these scholarships are made in honor of the late Deputy Saul Gallegos for his dedication to education and community service. Other areas that we focus on are community leadership, youth and family leadership, literacy, and civic participation and engagement. The members of CAFE commend the City of Wenatchee in adopting and/or passing the welcoming resolution number 2017-27, declaring that the City of Wenatchee is committed to being a welcoming city and in creating a community where we all feel welcomed and safe, and able to fully participate in and contribute to our city's economic and social life. Furthermore, CAFE members would like to partner with the city in this endeavor. Please keep us informed of the planning to ensure that this happens so that we may work together to fulfill this commitment. I think it's a wonderful resolution. We commend you. We applaud the work that the Diversity Council has done, and we look forward to continuing the wonderful work that the City of Wenatchee is engaged in. Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much, Alma. Thanks for being here. You guys applauding over there? All right, anybody else wish to address the council regarding Resolution 2017-27? Hearing no other takers, I would turn it over to the council for their action.
Your Honor, I'd like to move that we adopt Resolution number 2017-27, declaring that the City of Wenatchee is committed to being a welcoming city and creating a community where all feel welcome, safe, and able to fully participate in and contribute to our city's economic and social life.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Bailey, second by Councilmember Markart to adopt Resolution 2017-27 as presented in our packet this evening. Any discussion? Any comments? I just personally like to thank the Diversity Council. This can be a touchy issue, and I think you've dealt with it excellently, and I'm thrilled that we're gotten where we've gotten. I'm glad we took our time getting there. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Great. Thank you, guys. Of course, it's mandatory that you stay for all the rest of the meeting. All right, you can go if you have to. All right.
Good evening.
So our
Mr.
next
Mayor.
item is regarding the wage schedule with respect to AFSCME and updating the management wage schedule. So,
Yes,
Carrie?
thank you.
HR
Good evening. Carrie Page, HR Director. If you remember back in early January, we signed off on an agreement between the City of Wenatchee and the AFSCME Local 846 for a 4-year bargaining agreement, collective bargaining agreement. And as a side note to that, it was executed, but as a side note to that, we had a wage committee that we formed to discuss 18 positions that the union brought forward for review. We had several meetings, and we determined that 9 of those positions do have justification for an increase in pay. So I'm coming to you today to request your approval to implement the 2017 wage schedule as presented to you in the package, and answer any questions you may have.
So we heard about this at Finance Committee, but
Yes.
just kind of overall, you looked at job descriptions, you looked
Sure.
at comparable cities.
Yes.
They had to be more than 5% out of, I mean, can you kind of walk through a little
Sure.
bit of that
I mean,
process?
sure,
for-
absolutely. So the bargaining agreement clearly states that any position that is out at least 5%, then it's eligible for consideration. What the committee did is the union brought forward job descriptions for the positions that they felt were a match. The city did the same work. I found job descriptions that matched the positions. The committee was quite extensive in actually narrowing down which job descriptions were in fact a match and why. Once we determined which job descriptions we were going to apply, we then looked at the wages of 8 comparable cities that were agreed upon prior to negotiations. Those wages were brought into play and analysis was done, and then lots of back and forth negotiations occurred, and then we came down to a recommendation. What I did from that point is went over those recommendations again, reconfirmed the comparables, reviewed for compression within the city, equity citywide across the organization. I also met with our finance director, Brad, to look at the budget and look at what funds these are going to hit, and then worked with the department directors as well to ensure that they were prepared. At this point in time, the recommendation is to move forward with the changes, and if there needs to be an adjustment towards the end of the year, then we will look at that. But at this point in time, it's definitely something that's justifiable.
So these positions, these 9 positions
Yes.
were brought to your attention by the union?
Yes, that is correct. It was a formal request from the union.
No, they brought 18.
18, yes.
And we agreed with them on 9.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Well, it's a true statement.
Yes.
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 9 were of the 18?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So it was, and again, it was contemplated when we passed the contract before that we would go through this process. We're
Correct.
hoping next time we go through this process before we pass the contract.
Mm-hmm.
But this was anticipated, and we knew it was coming. We just didn't know how long it was going to take. And
Right.
so, and with those changes, then there's a new updated schedule, which is the second part of, do you want to deal with that one as well? That's why we're here?
Yes, so
Item C.
the management administrative, are you
Yeah.
referring to? Okay, so the second piece of this is a ordinance that establishes the positions for regular full-time employment for the management administrative group. And the reason I'm bringing this forward is that it hasn't yet been done. This year, we were waiting to complete the negotiations with the union, specifically because we came forward, we being management came forward with a request to consider the project engineer position to be reclassified out of the union. It was a very difficult request to overcome, but fortunately, we were able to get that out of the union because it is a professional level position. And so that is now included. That's the primary change for the management administrative salary schedule that you have in front of you. I took opportunity at this point to streamline all titles as well across the organization. So you'll see quite a few markups, but there are no other wage changes with the exception of reflecting a reclassification that was done early last year for a building and fire inspector.
Okay, so we've got basically 2 different motions in front of you. One is the first one regarding the changes for AFSCME, and the second just establishing the regular status employment. So we could just take those in that order and then have any discussion if you have any questions for Carrie.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion for the City Council to approve the AFSCME Local 846 2017 wage schedule as recommended per attached Appendix A, which establishes positions for regular status employment within the City of Wenatchee, AFSCME Local 846, group fixing the compensation to be paid for the calendar year 2017.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Poyer, second by Councilmember Harold to adopt the AFSCME Local 846 2017 wage schedule as shown in this evening's packet for the 2017 calendar year. Any questions or discussion from the council members? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
And the next item is regarding the regular status wages.
Your Honor, I move to adopt ordinance number 2017-10, establishing positions for regular status employment within the City of Wenatchee Management and Administrative Group, fixing the compensation to be paid for the calendar year 2017, and repealing ordinance number 2016-38.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Harold, seconded by Councilmember Huffaker to adopt ordinance 2017-10, establishing positions for regular status employments within the City of Wenatchee. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Motion carries carry. Thank you, Carrie. So, next item on our agenda is regarding amendment to the Chelan County court system regarding, I think it's probation, isn't it?
Yes,
Okay.
probation.
Brad, how are you?
Good. Brad Posenjak, Finance Director. So you should have in front of you an amendment to the interlocal agreement with Chelan County for district court services. So the only thing that is changing are a few paragraphs related to probation. And in the past, the county has billed the city on based on a per case rate, and it was billed quarterly. There was a complex calculation, and the county has wanted to get away from that, and the city has also wanted to have a flat amount that we can count on every year. And so the county's costs have also increased, and they would like a simplified billing method. And so in the past, our rates have varied between $24,000 a year and $42,000 a year. And currently in our budget, we've budgeted $45,000, so that's the amount that we propose to the county. And the judges have signed off on this contract language, and so I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
So as a little bit of a backup, we did meet with the district court folks probably before Brad even showed up. I don't know if it was in November, December, or January, and went through their district court costs. And it seemed like with district court, they were kind of holding their own, the cost to provide the court versus the money they were getting. But on the probation side, they had hired another probation officer. The judges are requiring more probation work. So we felt like since we're partners in the court system and if their costs are going up, we should probably help do that. Our budget had $45,000 in it, and I just said we might as well just give them the full amount of the budget and let them do probation for us. So I'm trying to be good stewards of our money, but also partner well with the district court that runs our court systems for us. So then Brad's been working on this since he got here. His first job was to go cut a deal with the county.
And it's a fair price.
Yeah.
Brad, you mentioned simpler method, I think is what you said. Is that do you agree with that?
Yeah, the spreadsheet, or at least the way they've calculated out their caseload seems fairly complicated, and they were doing it on a quarterly basis where they were having to go through their lists of several hundred of their offenders on their list and have to identify which one's city, which one's county, and sometimes they've got charges where the offender is actually under probation for both city and county, and so they're having to try to split them, or they've got multiple reasons why they're on probation, and all of those reasons show up on their report. So then they've got to group several cases into one. And so it was taking a lot of their time to calculate it that way. And so I think it was just a nice way to just have a flat amount.
I guess what the numbers, I guess, have we in terms of, your range here from 24,000 to 40, that's quite a range in terms
It is.
In terms of, if we're doing it on a case-by-case basis, have the numbers increased, to that upper limit, or I guess, on a per capita basis, are we paying more or less? I guess that's kind of when I look at that.
When I was looking at this, I believe probably it was about 5 or 6 years ago that we were in that 42,000 range, and then it dropped down to a few years ago. It dropped down to in the $25,000 range, and now it's now we're back up to the upper 30s this past year. I think we were in the upper 30s, and so like as the mayor said, they've hired another staff or two in probation, so their costs have gone up to manage their caseloads they have, and so I have seen the other side of the calculations, and the 45 is seems to be a fair amount, and there's other costs that, besides the rate that they have been charging, there are other costs that are involved in probation that would end up increasing our rates, especially with them adding another employee.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other discussion for Brad? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for the City Council to authorize the mayor to sign the First Amendment to interlocal agreement for providing district court services between Chelan County and the City of Wenatchee.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Markart, second by Councilmember Huffaker, to authorize the mayor's signature on the First Amendment to the interlocal agreement for providing district court services between Chelan County and the City of Wenatchee. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Brad.
You?
Next item on this evening's agenda is a public hearing regarding the Springwater Avenue Sewer Extension Project. So for our public hearings, we will first hear from staff, and after staff's presentation, we'll ask them questions, and then we'll open it up for any public comment, and after the public comment, we'll turn it over to any members or to the council for their action, if any. So I turn it over to Jeremy and Matt, and
Get the computer.
off we go.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Matt Leonard, Public Works Director.
Jeremy Hoover, Senior Engineer and Utilities. Mr. Mayor, Councilor, we're here to discuss the Springwater Sewer Line Extension Project, and specifically the ordinance to establish the connection fees for the sewer extension project, and request a motion by the council to adopt ordinance number 2017-07, establishing those connection fees for the properties along Springwater Avenue. As you're aware, we built a little less than half a mile of sewer line last year up Springwater west of Western. We installed side sewer services for all the developed properties. Excuse me. And the total cost of construction was $519,754 and change. That includes both the construction and the design-related expenditures. And the consultant that designed the project, RH2, was subsequently tasked with generating an assessment rule based on those calculations. We chose a method to determine the calculations based on equivalent residential units. One equivalent residential unit basically being a single-family household structure. There are several developable properties on the uphill portion of Springwater, as well as a few small properties on the eastern side of Springwater that could potentially be subdivided into smaller lots and equivalent residential units per lot. The resulting calculation came up into was 293 ERUs, and dividing the cost of construction into those 293 units comes up with $1,773.91 per ERU.
So after getting this assessment roll put together, we have got some feedback from a few property owners that they don't believe they're going to be able to get that density that we had anticipated. So when we put that together, we took 20% off the land that they had. We assumed that was going to be for right-of-way and ponds and things like that, and then the rest would be divided up as the zoning allowed. But we have got some feedback from the Pine Shadow Land Company, who's currently working on design right now, and the Beaconsfield Associates property, who's also has been looking at designing that they wouldn't be able to get that density. So an option we have that you guys have tonight is to we could lower their assessment by what staff's recommending. What I'm recommending is that we would lower the one lot that Pine Shadow has that's steeper, that has 20 ERUs on it. We lower that to 10, so we would ultimately lower Pine Shadow's assessment by $17,739, and that would be supplemented by utility funds, so we didn't have to go and recalculate the assessment rate for everyone else, as well as for the Beaconsfield Associates, lowering that by 10 ERUs as well. There's one other developable property, which is owned by Scott and Sabrina Hansen. That one, we assume they can get 9 lots in there. And since we don't know for sure if that could happen, I would recommend we lower that to 8 as well.
So question for me, we'll just pick one of the single ERUs or single property owners that are on, say, Springwater. We'll just take 1821 Springwater.
Okay.
So it's on Springwater Avenue, okay? And their cost for the sewer line is $1,773.91. What other fees are they going to have to pay to hook up to our sewer system under current?
Currently, they're going to have to pay the system investment fee, which is currently $570.
Okay.
And then they'll have to pay a utility permit fee, which I believe is around $40.
And then they'll have to actually pay to have a
Yeah.
contractor come in and connect it.
Yep.
Thank you. And then the ones that are further down the streets are going to have to work with their neighbors to get the pipes down and all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
Okay. So, but so you're recommending that on the Pine Shadow where it's 20 ERUs, we just change that to 10?
And we're at 63, we go to 53 for Beaconsfield.
And then with Hansons, we'll just take the one that's 5 and go to 4?
Exactly.
Okay. And then whatever the difference is, instead of adding it to the single ones, you would just have the utility fund eat those costs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Matt, I'm guessing you agree, like, whatever Beaconsfield, you agree they won't be able to get that many?
I mean,
You guys-
it's hard for us to know exactly what the developer would do.
Yeah.
I mean, when we set up the assessment roll, we assume that they could, and they may be able to, they may get more.
Does it say how many square feet and what's the?
Yeah, so the
is it
total-
8,000 for zoning there, or what is it?
Right now, there's 2 sets of zoning. One is for 6 dwelling units per acre. The other one is for 4, depending on which property you're talking about.
Okay.
RL and RS zoning. And the density that was associated with that zoning is what was used to come up with the total number of dwelling units or ERUs in that subdivision. We then took off, as Matt mentioned, 20% of the area to assume, streets and ponds and whatnot. So the resulting number is what we multiplied by 1771 to get their assessment.
RS
value.
is 10,000 square feet?
Uh,
7. Oh, okay, thanks.
Couldn't do the math that quick in my
So,
head.
for our new sewer extension program that we're looking at doing with our sewer comp plan, the way that would work, it'd be 6,600 is kind of the estimate that we're going for what that connection would be for these people that connected right to a main that we connected. But these developable properties, they would just pay the system investment fee under the future program that's not established yet.
Okay. So really today, it's more about trying to figure out what the appropriate math is to divide up the $500,000 of costs amongst the benefiting properties.
Mhm.
And then how much the utility fund should absorb in order to get development going on a quicker, as we do have a housing crisis and we're trying to really get the developers to start doing stuff. Okay. Any questions of the council members to our staff before we take public comment? Don't see any. Any members of the public wish to address the city council regarding this public hearing item regarding the Springwater Avenue sewer connection? Yes, sir. Come on up.
Brian Campbell, 1837 Jefferson Street. I didn't have any comments on this or any research done ahead of time, so just what I've listened to out here. And just wanting, it sounds like, I want to make sure there's not any conflicts of interest with any of these parties. It seems like there's some preferential treatment. Somebody's requesting lower assessments, and I just wanted to know, is there any way to put any kind of a clawback provision in there? A lot of times they'll say, yeah, we can't get that many lots in there, and then couple years down the road, you look back and they got 20 more than what they said they could get in there. So, I mean, is there any kind of a thought to that?
Talk to my staff.
So the way these assessments are being made is this assessment would have to be paid for at the time that it was platted at the current assessment that's at that for that parcel. So there's really, once the assessment's made, it'll be the total dollar amount, not per ERU. So if they put one house on there versus 100, it would be the same. That's our current model for collecting the assessment. It's by the parcel.
So you can't claw back and get money.
Not that I know of. I mean, we could.
No, I wouldn't think so. I just want to make sure I understood.
And just for the record, there was both meetings with Beaconsfield and Pine Shadow, who both didn't think they could get the number of units. Pine Shadow specifically, there's a very steep hillside on the backside of theirs. And then with Beaconsfield, because of additional road requirements on Woodward Street, plus their internal road numbers, they didn't think they could get those numbers either. And so it's our job to either decide to reallocate amongst everybody or give them a small reduction so that they can get out and get their developments done. And that's a issue that the council has, because that's your choice to figure out how you want to spend those monies and allocate those resources.
Thank you.
Just because I've been up in that area a lot. That hillside is really steep. I think Mike would agree with me. Unless we start doing California-style houses, I don't know how anybody's going to build up there. And I would, with the current situation going on up in the heights with dirt sliding and everything else, I wouldn't want to build there.
Yeah.
So I don't see a problem of just doing what we've done, reducing the 10 to 20, but not going back and recalculating for all the rest of the people. I think we should take it as staff recommended.
Okay, so then, seeing we had no public comment other than the one, then the motion would be to adopt this with the changes of Pine Shadow Land Company going from 20 ERUs to 10 ERUs, Beaconsfield going from 63 ERUs to 53 ERUs, and that the Scott Hansen property that's got 5 ERUs be changed to 4. All other amounts would remain the same. And I didn't make that motion because I can't, but I was just trying to
make some notes here.
I do want to point out, when you mentioned Pine Shadow from 20 to 10, you got to remember they also have some land up there, 32, and we're staying at 32. So
Yes.
I want to point that out. It's not like they're getting half, because they got some of that steep hill.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
They're going from 52
Right.
ERUs to 42.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your Honor, we've been over here discussing the ordinance
Yes.
and the exhibit relates directly to the total project cost. So when you make a motion on the ordinance, it would be important for you to add that we need to amend the ordinance stating that confirming reasonable connection charges, including city utility portion.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So approving and confirming a reasonable connection charge and
Adding a utility portion.
Contribution.
Fund contribution, yeah.
Okay, got you.
City or the utility?
Utility, and adding a utility fund contribution.
And then we'll need an updated exhibit.
Okay. Probably anywhere in that sentences, if you said, and adding a utility fund contribution, you would make your city attorney happy.
Are we sure?
Yeah.
All right, well, let me try this, and you can correct me where I'm wrong. So, Your Honor, I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2017-07, approving and confirming a reasonable connection charge to the connection to the public sewer system of the city of Wenatchee related to the West Springwater Avenue sewer extension with the following amendments. Pine Shadow, their ERU would be reduced from 20 to 10, and Beaconsfield Associates would be reduced from 63 to 53, and the Scott Hansen property would be reduced from 5 to 4. And also, confirming and approving the utility fund contribution for the balance of the expenses.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Huffaker and a second by Councilmember Harold to adopt ordinance number 2017-07 with the changes as noted and adding a utility fund contribution to balance the project costs out. Any discussion? Any questions?
Matt, I'm not real good at math in my head, not very good at it with a pencil either, but approximately what does that contribution add up to?
31 times 1,700. Probably about
37,000.
37,000. There we go.
37, okay.
Yeah.
I was expecting that.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, gentlemen. Mayor's report. First thing, I'd like to welcome a new city employee, Jesse, from the IT department. Stand up, say hi. She started on Monday, so she is getting trained by the IT department, so she'll be running the IT part of our meetings at some point in time. So a lot of new folks around. It just seems like every day we're hiring more and more people to fill in spots. And I had a great retirement party today for Keith Kellogg, who's retired from the police department. And nice to see some of our younger police officers there. Next time we have a police officer retire, you need to come to the retirement, because the end of it with the radio thing
That's a really
is
nice
really
touch.
spectacular. They did it for Doug Jones as well. So the Rivercom actually calls them out and says they're retired. So officially retires the number. And Edgar has it on the radio, so they read a little prepared statement about all the things they've done, and whatever the number is, 1K26 out, and it just kind of ends their career. Pretty remarkable to
hoping I
go
could
to
make
one
it
of
today, and I
those.
couldn't.
Edgar's done a great job of implementing that. It's
Yeah.
a really nice ending to. I don't need to tell you this, but May 15th is candidate filing week, so I don't know exactly whose positions are up. Jim's is up.
Yeah,
Ruth and Keith. Okay, so just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. Who's going to the AWC annual meeting? 1, 2, 3. So how many voting representatives do we need? 3? So can you bring us a resolution next time to appoint Mike and Lyle and Jim as voting representatives? Masawa welcoming is next Wednesday at 3. Is that correct? At Pybus. The city is the host delegation this year.
Pybus, okay.
Pybus at 3. I would say semi-formal. I will be in a suit and tie, but I also have to run part of that. So always nice to welcome our friends from Masawa.
Is that May 3rd?
It's May 3rd at Pybus, yep. And I should probably go to my calendar and see what else is on. Obviously, Apple Blossom is next week as well.
All Service Club luncheon.
All Service Club luncheon is Wednesday at 11:30. We're welcoming the provost from Washington State University at the Ag.
Yes.
Department of Ag. So we'll be spending some time with him during that week. We don't meet next week.
Do you have the time and date for the annual police recognition or law enforcement recognition?
Yes, I do. It is Wednesday, the 17th at 11
At the convention center.
at the Convention Center. The following week, myself and some of your senior staff are going to go to Seattle and spend the day and meeting with the development company that Paul Allen runs, Vulcan. So we're going to go over and meet with some developers, obviously trying to get interest in our city. And I think there's 2 ways to do it. You can sit here and talk about it, or you can go visit them. So we've got Allison to set up a day full of meetings with developers over in the Seattle area. I don't know, are we watching Olympia much? There's not a lot going on.
They are, our legislators have come back and set up their offices as they head into budget negotiations. So
I really don't know when any of that's going to kind of finish up. Council members, anything going on your committees?
No, we're just doing the strategy for the development.
EDD?
EDD strategies.
Good.
Working on that. That's come out in
this month. Later this month, it's got 30 days. I think May 17th is going to be done by June 17th.
Okay. And then I think we obviously don't meet next Thursday, and then I'm guessing on the 11th, is that our next meeting date?
Yes.
That we will have executive session to discuss real estate matters. So we should probably set up at least 45 minutes or so on the 11th. Had a great finance committee meeting today. Thanks, Jim, for coming. We are now taking the requests on a quarterly basis, not a monthly basis, and so we had a large number of requests today. In fact, I'll maybe did you guys get that? Did the other two council members get the requests, Brad? Would you just shoot them that email so they just kind of look at what it is we're looking at? So a large number of requests. The finance committee's gone through them, and we'll meet again in 2 weeks and kind of go over. Every department had some requests, and police, some new software, and of course Matt has a laundry list of public works items. And,
I always see Matt's laundry.
yes, it's always nice to see Matt's laundry, yeah. We thought we went long enough that he'd leave the meeting, but we actually stuck it out to the very end, so. All right, anything else? If not, have a very safe and enjoyable apple blossom. Spend some time at the food court and enjoy not only this weekend and next weekend, and we'll see you on the 11th.
Very good.
We're adjourned.